All right, well, it's 10 a.m. in Gary, Indiana, so I guess we'll get started. Thanks everybody for joining. And Chuck, do we have any business to attend to before we get started with the clinic?
No, the only thing I'm looking for is what are we doing in February and March? So that's something we need to think about for over the next couple months.
Yeah,
Well, actually a couple of weeks. So
yeah, my last slide is the events that are coming up.
okay.
Yeah, we don't have anything scheduled for February, so that's probably our first order of business. And maybe somebody on our program today or who watches the recorded program will decide, hey, I want to present, and that'll be perfect. Good, we'll get started. And well, first of all, I'll introduce myself. For those who don't know, I'm Greg Bueltmann, and I lived most of my life in Libertyville, Illinois. The last 11 years I've been here in Gary, Indiana. And I model the Michigan ore lines, Chicago Northwestern and Milwaukee Road pooled operations around 1963. Up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan around Escanaba and Iron Mountain. I teach during the day. I was formerly a technology professional, so PowerPoint and Zoom are something that I've been doing probably every day or very regularly for the last 20 years or so. I also volunteer at church. I'm a musician. And I'm a vanner. You might not know what a vanner is, but the sweatshirt I'm wearing, it both in the picture and today, I belong to a club of guys who like to drive and maintain old vans from the 60s and 70s. Mine's from the 80s. But anyway, that's how I spend my time. I have been a member of the Michiana division for some time now, and I got on the board of directors, I think around 2018, 2019, something like that. And as of last year, I became the superintendent, succeeding my friend Ron. And so we've been having a lot of fun here during the pandemic, trying to keep things going. And so that'll be kind of the theme of the presentation today. I have worked in Windows and the Mac OS for a long time. I use iOS, which is the iPhone operating system. And this week, or last week really, I got to learn a little more about Linux. Our website is hosted on a site that our package is a Linux package, and I'd always done this type of programming for databases in Windows. So that was my project last week, was to figure out how to do that in Linux. And people have been telling me for years that I needed to get over onto the newer stuff, and so that was finally my motivation to get this searchable database going. And they were right. It is better. It is easier once you learn what you're doing. So that was fun. But anyway, that's enough about me. Our agenda today, we are going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing for the past year and a half or so on Zoom, and then go through and look at exactly how Zoom works. We'll also look at Microsoft PowerPoint, which is very similar to Pages if you're using that software. And some of the things that you can do there. Have a few tips and things that we can explore. And then we'll look at the whole process of getting ready to do an online presentation, coming up with a good idea, writing an outline, all that sort of stuff, and then getting online and operating all the software together to make it happen. So I'll demonstrate some of that. And of course, you already know how to get on Zoom because you're here, so we won't worry too much about that, but then we'll take some questions and talk about what the division is doing coming up in the next few months into spring. The picture there, I added a few pictures. I should have said something. The first picture on the entry screen or the title screen is a BL2 at the Hoosier Valley Railroad Museum, where we were, I think in July or August, I can't remember now, but one of our outings this year. And then this picture is the mobile gas station that I built, a model I built, I guess, over the summer. It's a JL Designs, I think, kit. And so that's a close-up shot I took It's not really scenic or anything, so close-ups work because you can't see the rest is all plywood around it. But anyway, we got to throw some train pictures in here too while we're at it. That's why we're here. So why do we use Zoom? Well, the Zoom is widely adopted. Most people now have been on a Zoom meeting thanks to the pandemic. There are other platforms. I used Cisco Meeting Place and WebEx for years. And there's GoToMeeting that used to be a Citrix product, and they've spun that off to somebody else. But Zoom seemed to have really been in the right place at the right time when everybody got shut in, when we were, what did we call it, isolating or quarantining in place, or I can't remember all the terms. But anyway, it's a relatively simple program to operate. Just to get on a Zoom meeting, you don't need to have an account or anything like that. You can pretty much just click a link. It met our requirements. This morning we have snow in Gary. I know there's deep snow in other parts of the country today, and so Zoom is impervious to weather. We can always get on these meetings no matter what, as long as the internet's working. It gives us the opportunity to record these meetings, which is nice, and it's inexpensive. When we started doing this, we used a free account for 6 months or so, I think, and even to subscribe, there are deals that come up. So I think that the subscription I use, which I use for this, I use it for church, I use it for school. I think I pay $120 a year or something like that. So I think the list price is around $150, but if you wait until they're really anxious to get subscribers, you can get a deal on it. So that's kind of why we selected Zoom. Our history with this, in March of 2020, we had our last in-person meeting before the pandemic at a library somewhere around South Bend. I can't remember which one it was. I do remember a gentleman from Kalamazoo presented on operations in JMRI, which was a really nice presentation, and I was there for that, and then volunteered to present in April. And I think we were going to try to have that meeting in Valparaiso, but of course that's when everything got shut down. All the libraries were closed. And we had talked about maybe using Zoom in addition to meeting in person, and to see if we could make the meetings more accessible to people. And so we got our big chance in April, and I did my presentation. I haven't checked, but I don't think we recorded that. I haven't seen it around. I guess I could check a little more carefully, but anyway, I presented on how to make these control panels with the Digitrax DS64s and LEDs and all this good stuff. And so we did that presentation via Zoom. The adoption at that point wasn't super high. But we did have people who were able to attend. We had some technical issues, didn't always work perfectly. We were using a free account, so everything had, I think it was limited to 40 minutes or something like that. So we had to get things done in 40 minutes or we'd get cut off, and we all try to join back on again. Right around that time, Ron Christensen had started doing this daily email. And if you're not on that list, I'm sure Ron would be glad to include you. And you can just send one of us an email, and if you don't have Ron's contact information, and we'll make sure he gets it. But it's a group of modelers really from mostly in the Midwest, but all over the country really. And we all share a lot of the same interests. And so Ron sends out information every day on whatever is interesting to him, or sometimes other people on the list suggest topics, and some other people do contribute. And it's a great resource. And just at that time, when we were in the beginnings of the pandemic and we really didn't know how long we would be isolated from one another, it was a great way to just keep active in the hobby and stay communicating and have some fellowship. So as part of that, then Ron made the suggestion, hey, we should get together on Zoom on a regular basis. And so we started these Thursday meetings, and we started out, it was pretty rough. We weren't sure exactly how to do it or what format would work. We tried to do a couple of layout tours with people taking their phone or a camera around the layout room, and depending on the strength of their wireless signal, sometimes it worked well and sometimes it didn't work so well, but we were patient and just having fun. So so we managed to get it to the point where it was pretty functional, and we started a regular schedule, and that continues to this day. We had Clark Props from Mason City, Iowa, present this past Thursday on building a branch line roster. And I think we're around 60 or 70 clinics that we've done between Saturdays with the division and these Thursday meetings. And some are kind of homespun and still entertaining, and some of them are done by great, very expert modelers who do very nice presentations. And the purpose of it is not to be super polished or try to impress our friends, but really to just convey modeling information, share information, ask questions, and have some fellowship around this hobby that we love. So it's been a lot of fun. We started recording the clinics pretty early on, and I started putting them up on my YouTube channel that I use for some of the music I do. And then I created a YouTube channel for the division. So now there are some of those recordings are on my channel, some of them are on the division's channel. And I'd maintained a spreadsheet with all the links, and I would send that out via email to anybody who wanted to see that list. And so this week, as part of preparing for today's clinic, I thought it would make sense to create a website on the division, or a web page on the division site, that would allow us to search that information, because like I say, we already have 50 or 60 entries on there, I think. And so it's starting to get a little cumbersome to just try to sort through the list and try to remember what date a presentation was or something like that to try to locate it. So now you can search for it. I'll show you that in a second. But that archive then kind of obviates the need to actually move everything off of one YouTube channel to another, which unfortunately it's not difficult. I still have all the original files. I could sit here for a day and upload all the videos that are on my site into the division page, but this means creating this database made that really not necessary, because now you can just go to the division site and find them all. So that is kind of how we evolved to the point we're at now. So the question is, how do you participate in these things? To get on the list, you really just need to send me an invite. I think probably most of the people that are here today are already on that list. If you're not, just let me know. And I send out usually on Wednesday morning, sometimes not till Wednesday afternoon, and every now and then it's not till Thursday morning. It kind of depends on what my schedule looks like, but I'll send out a link with that is basically the invite to get onto the Zoom. They are at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern. Sometimes if I have personal commitments, we move that time around. And also sometimes our presenters have requirements around scheduling. So we're pretty flexible with that. We've moved to different days of the week to accommodate people. But generally speaking, we try to keep it at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. And all you need to do to jump into the meeting is use that link. So if you are interested in presenting, and I'll get into this in more detail later, you can use a free Zoom account to experiment with the controls and figure out how to do sharing. That is relatively easy to do just by going to the zoom.us website. But also, if you would like to practice with me sometime, I'm always open to that, and we'll schedule a time with to just have a Zoom call between me and you, and I can show you exactly how to share your screen and how to do all these other things. It's a little tricky because the controls are are hidden, of course, when you're sharing your screen. So you can't exactly share your screen and show somebody where the controls are. That's kind of the one little thing that has made this a little difficult when people are learning. But I'll show you in a second here. There are excellent resources on the Zoom support pages to help you learn how to do that, show you where all the controls are. And like I say, I'm more than happy to get on a private session with you and let you experiment with that and make sure that everything works. In the early days with Zoom a year or so ago, it seemed like the controls would move around. Zoom was updating their interface, they were improving their security, and so things were changing. Over the last 6 or 8 months, that has stabilized quite a bit, and I think that the consistent interface now does make it a lot easier to use Zoom, especially if you're going to be a host or a presenter. So that is how you participate. More on that in a bit. I'm going to show you the archive now. Basically, this information here, as I mentioned, we have 2 channels where most of this is stored on YouTube. That doesn't really matter that much unless you're subscribing to a channel so that on YouTube, you can be notified when new videos come up. If you want to do that, any future, I guess for the last 3 or 4 months, and now anything in the future that we post to YouTube will be on the Division channel. And so people are subscribing to the Division. I think we have 57 subscribers now. And so that will be consistent. But like I said, the archive has the links to all of these videos. And so now it really doesn't matter which site they're on. As far as who's sponsoring this is sponsored by our division. But there's no requirement to be a member to have access to these videos, to present or attend these clinics. Those are done just because we enjoy doing it, and so there's absolutely no obligation with regard to that. As far as the rights to these videos, the rights always reside with the creator. So whoever's presenting the clinic, whoever's developed that the rights to that clinic always will reside with that individual. And we use all of that with permission. That permission is implied. And I do try to, when we get a new presenter, I make sure that I mention to them that we are recording these and they will be on our division YouTube channel. And there have been people who object to that, and that's perfectly fine. That's their right. But most people are okay with it. When we do publish these to YouTube, we do that. We do publish them publicly, so anyone can search for and find these videos. And the only real downside to that is every once in a while, some kind of robot or something will scan that page and make some stupid comment about going to their website or something like that. YouTube usually deletes those seconds after they're posted, and I'll receive an email that they showed up, but they're usually gone by the time I try to get back there and maintain it. So not a lot of downside to that. What I'll do now is I'm going to get out of this presentation mode and go ahead and show you the searchable database. Some of you guys saw this on Thursday night, but if you go to our website, I'm linking to this now on the communications that come out about these videos in clinics. But if you just navigate to our website, you'll get here. This has links to our newsletter and whatever our upcoming clinic is. If you come over here to resources, there's a number of links here. And at the bottom right is this video archive link. And so this will come up with the exhaustive list, starting with the most recent, which is this past Thursday's video, going all the way to the beginning. The first one that we recorded apparently was on June 12th, 2020. So, and all you do to watch one of these videos is you just click on the link, it'll open in a separate window. And so here's what we did a couple of weeks ago with Rich Hankey. And so all of those are there, very easy to access. Right now, the list is short enough that it's not that hard to navigate, but this search window, you can really put anything you want in here. You can see some of these are the latest searches that I did. So if I want to search for anything by Ron, I just click the search button with that in the search window. And so anything by Ron, or that even has Ron in the title, is going to come up here. So there's quite a few by Ron Christensen, one by Ron Gilson. And then if you want to get back to the full list, all you do is click search with no criteria in the search field, and then you get the whole list again. So pretty simple, pretty bare bones, but I do expect at some point to put some additional features in here to allow people to subscribe and unsubscribe from the invite and things like that. But for now, this is working, and makes it a little easier to get to this stuff, and also keeps me from having to upload everything to the other site. I assume you guys can all see what I'm doing because nobody said anything, right? I probably should have asked that.
Hey, Greg.
Yes.
The videos that are on here are just the videos that are on the division the division YouTube.
These are all the Thursdays and some of the Saturdays that we've done. They are on both the division YouTube channel and my personal YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Because when I went down the list, it seemed to me like we were missing a few.
That's very possible.
Yeah. All right. And so rather than go over that today, I'll try to make a little list and send it to you.
Yeah, if you do that, that'd be terrific. That'll save me that chore, and then I have all the original videos that we've done over the last year and a half, so I'll be happy to upload those to the division and then put the links on here. So that'd be great.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions about this or how it works? I can also tell you all about how PHP works now, because that's what I learned to make this happen. So that was fun. All right, back to the presentation. There we go. All right, so on to the idea of how do you operate Zoom and how do you get help with that. So rather than do a whole Zoom tutorial, that is very easy to access on Zoom's website, and I've provided some links here. It's very easy to navigate that on the Zoom website. They have a learning center now where you can actually get certified on some aspects of Zoom, including security and things like that. You can enroll in the courses. They've really doubled down on their training emphasis, which is great. The video tutorials are nice because, like I mentioned, if I try to show you that stuff now, I basically would have to do a bunch of screen captures and present those on slides, because all that stuff is hidden from you, what I see on my screen, so that I can present and have a clean screen go out to the audience. But the Zoom video tutorials have done all that work. They're very well organized. And so I encourage you, if you're interested in learning more, there are a lot of features to Zoom that we don't use. We can use breakout rooms. There's all kinds of apps now that are integrated with the Zoom interface. We don't really have a need for much of that in the work we do, but if you use it professionally, those are great resources. There's an FAQ there. That's often FAQ, frequently asked questions, often a great way to just kind of understand what problems are other people commonly having. Those are likely to be the things that are getting in your way if you're struggling with it. And then there is a link in a document that Chuck shared with me. There's a link for a test meeting, and that's also a nice way to kind of just get in there. If you're getting ready to attend a meeting, or if you have a friend who's a little unsure about how to do that, send them that link, and they can basically get on that meeting, learn how to mute themselves, unmute themselves, things like that, without having to do that in front of all their friends or relatives or whoever's on the Zoom call they're getting ready for. So those are good resources. As far as just the basics on how to do this, you're here, so you probably know how to watch a Zoom clinic. Anybody who's watching this in the recorded version, it's fairly simple to do. You click on a link and an invite, and the meeting opens up, and your next challenge is just to make sure you're connected to audio. And so the best way to learn all that stuff really is on those tutorials. But if you've used many computer applications that deal with audio, you click on the microphone icon and you have some choices there. If you have a simple audio setup on your computer, you probably just are using the computer speakers or something like that. That's typically going to be what's selected by default, and it should work. When you get into more complex setups with audio interfaces, or maybe you're connected to an external monitor that also has audio, that's when things get a little dicey. And so that's where, if you're having trouble like that, and you want to set up a meeting time with me to just kind of dissect all that and make sure everything's working, I'm more than happy to do that. Muting and unmuting, there's a microphone icon. I think everybody on here pretty much understands how to do that. You hover over the bottom of the screen, and most of the controls are there these days. That may vary a little bit if you're sharing your screen or something like that. But the skills required to present are not much different than the skills required to attend a meeting. And my purpose really in providing this clinic is to try to develop more people that are willing to present, because we have a lot of expertise in our midst here, people who have been modeling for many, many years and have a wealth of prototype information that other modelers would love to be able to share. And it's the technical requirements that sometimes get in the way of that. People are a little shy about getting on here and having a technical problem and trying to troubleshoot it in front of a group of people. You get a little nervous and it's no fun. So the skills are pretty modest. On these calls that we do with the division, I am typically the host. The host is the person who schedules the meeting, enters all the parameters about the meeting, like when it's going to happen, what the password is, and things like that. So the host is different than the attendees. I usually have that covered. There are other people in our group that have the ability to do that and have Zoom accounts that they can host as well. So that's not something you need to worry about if that's an obstacle to you becoming a presenter on one of these clinics. We can handle that for you. As far as getting help developing a presentation and practicing, I've mentioned several times, more than willing to do that. We'll do that privately and let you get your feet wet. And I've done that for several people. And once we do that once or twice, we're usually good to go. So then if you want to present on one of these meetings, either on a Saturday for the division or on a Thursday for that group, which typically includes the division, but is a little broader, all you have to do is let me know. We always have openings, and we're usually scheduling the next presentation the week of that upcoming Thursday. Not always, but in many cases, and that's no problem at all. The group's very flexible. If we don't have a presenter, or if something comes up and we can't meet on a Thursday, we just skip a week. And of course, selecting an interesting topic is really up to you. If it's interesting to you, chances are it's going to be interesting to the rest of the group. Most of the people that do the Thursdays also are on Ron's email list, and we've had topics all over the map, whatever kind of stirs our fancy that week. It might be grain elevators, it might be operations, it might be way bills, all sorts of stuff. And it's just great. I think everybody has their own special interests in railroading or model railroading, and that's great. But I think we all share a general interest in railroading in general and in model railroading specifically. And so I find that anything that comes up, there really hasn't been a Thursday topic or an email topic that hasn't been of some interest to me. And I have a directory on my computer where I save all these photos and everything that comes through. I think it's great information, and I'm not always able to get to it that day, and that's why I save it all on my computer so I don't overload my mail server with saving information, which I have to pay for. But I have access to that then whenever I need it, and it's easy to search that in email. So that's a little different topic, but anyway. So some other features of Zoom that are kind of convenient to know about. It is fairly easy to edit your name. You just click more in the participants panel, and you should be able to change that. You can also use emoticons on here, and that you'll see a little icon for that. It might be on the more menu, but you can add smiley faces or clap, applause, or you can raise your hand if you have a question and things like that. There's also a chat function on here. And so the chat function is great if you need to send out a URL or something like that, or somebody's talking and you don't want to interrupt them, but you have some enriching information on the topic that you'd like to add. That's a good way to do that.
Mhm.
All right, any questions on Zoom before we go on to PowerPoint?
Greg, could I butt in for a second?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is Neil Thomas. I'm Chief Clerk of the Division, and I'm taking attendance since this is officially at a meeting, and would like to recognize that we have lots of members on here, but also a few names that I don't recognize. John Schneider, what part of the world are you in?
I'm from Lamar's, Iowa, Northwest Iowa. I developed a friendship with Chuck because my son lived in Constantine, and I ran into Chuck. And I am a member of the NMRA, the PLD division of the Thousand Lakes region, and treasurer of the PLD.
Okay, well, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And on our Thursday night meeting, we had a first timer in Cedar Rapids who is interested in possibly joining the NMRA. So probably not your division, but or is that the next division over, John?
Well, yeah, it'd actually be a different division, different region too.
Oh, different region. Okay.
Mid-continent, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Then we've got somebody on here identified as iPhone only. Would that person like to identify themselves?
That would be me.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
And-
Ken, my name's Ken Huff. I'm from Valpo, and I have been now officially shamed into joining the NMRA again. So
Ken?
I'll be rejoining.
Okay, Ken, what was your last name again?
Hough.
And did you say New Buffalo?
No, I said Valparaiso.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't listening close enough. I was writing Valpo.
They
Okay,
both
we've got
have
several
O's.
Valpo people in our division, so welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And let's see, we've got a Seth Lakin.
Yes,
Oh, so you know Seth, yeah.
yeah, thanks, Neil. Seth Lake in Michigan City, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Ken.
Hey, Seth.
Never an NMRA member, but a big supporter. And I presented here, about 3-4 weeks ago
Yep.
about my modeling in Michigan City, the research that I've done, and such like that. So again, like Ken, it seems like my joining is inanimate, but as my little icon says there, New York Central Historical Society Modeling Committee Chairman, Director in queue, becoming official here in May. But so that's my little bit about me there. So I
Okay,
just finished up a modeling committee meeting with the Historical Society, so I'm working on the minutes there and just listening in here.
okay.
Seth, are you a member of the Juneland Club?
No, I'm a member of the Valparaiso Club,
Okay.
along with Ken, the Porter County Model Railroad Club, but I know quite a bit of the people in the Duneland Club.
Okay, well, welcome, Seth. And with the New York Central interest there, I live in Elkhart, which is where the National New York Central Railroad Museum is. So stop over sometime. I
Right,
think everybody else on here is a long-term attendee, and maybe at the end, Greg will want to go around and let everybody introduce themselves, but why don't we get back to the program? And,
good.
oh, just one more comment. Greg showed a way to change your name. Another way is to right click on your name and your picture where you see it right now, and it'll say rename, and you can type in anything you want. Or no, it's not letting me do it since I'm talking right now, but if you're not talking, if you right click on it, it'll let you add things like I could add Elkhart, Indiana after my name and identify myself that way. Oh, one more here. Somebody on it is administrator's iPad, red, white beard and a red plaid shirt.
He's getting ready to change his name. Beat him to it.
Yeah, that's your famous Phil Bachman, who has a rudimentary understanding of PowerPoint. I'm sorry, of Zoom, but I've yet to change mine.
Yeah, okay, Phil, yes, you've been on with us before. You're over in the eastern end of the division, and you've been a modeler for 500 years, as I recall. So
yeah, we're closing in on 750 now. And by the way, Ken, I think, aren't you also involved with the Ileana Garden Railway Society?
No,
No, okay. That's
no,
in Valpo. No, okay.
it is. I visited there and I gave a talk on the on Porter County Railroads a month and a half or so ago.
Oh, okay. I probably missed that one, but
A lot of people did.
well, we don't have a lot of people, so and when I'm not there, well, never mind.
Oh, there were a lot of people there, and then they all left because, well, it was me.
Oh no, okay.
No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
anyway, Ken, it's good to meet you on this network. So look forward to talking to you more later.
Sure, thanks.
David Besterman's on here. My recollection is he's involved in Garden Railway. Is that true?
Yes, I am a volunteer at Purdue Gabus Arboretum, as it's now called. It used to be called Tall Tree. In fact, I'm working on building a structure for them for their urban display. It'll go out there next spring when we open up. I've been spending the last month or two building a building for them. Ken, I think that presentation you referred to was at Tall Tree.
Yeah.
Not the IGRS.
No, I was talking about the one that you sat next to me.
Right. That was out at Tall Tree, commemorating their 10th anniversary. They've been open since 2011, June of 2011, and we had a 10th anniversary celebration. And Ken was the featured speaker. Thanks, Ken. I really enjoyed that. You need to
that's
do more of
okay.
that. I really enjoyed that history presentation you made.
Say that one more time, and I might present it here.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. I'll do that for sure. Greg, sign him up.
All right.
Greg's got a program coming up then. Thanks
How
for volunteering, Ken.
how about February, Ken? How's that sound?
Oh, sure.
All right. Mission accomplished.
I have not done my handrail one yet, so that will be fine. This one's sitting on a USB drive, and all I gotta do is plug it in.
All right. Perfect.
We're talking third Saturday in February.
Yeah, I think it's I can't remember now, but it'll come up on my last slide. So
It's the 19th.
yeah, that's
And
right.
So Ken, send Chuck Hart the information so I can put it in the February notice that
Yeah.
comes out with our division.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah, okay.
Excellent.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, as a sales guy knows that once you've made the deal, you stop talking. So I probably should just end the presentation right here, but but I'm not in my sales mode, so we'll go ahead and so anything else before we move on and talk a little bit about PowerPoint? All right.
Yeah, Greg,
Yes.
just one other comment, just in case for some of the newbies on here. If you hover your mouse around in the upper right-hand corner, there's a thing that says view. and you can click on there and see all the attendees, or if there are lots of them, you'll have to scroll. Or you can click on speaker, and then the only person you'll see on the side is the person that's talking, and it'll switch as different people talk, and etc. So you can experiment with that while Greg is going on here, and I will be quiet, and I have updated my attendee list, and thanks everybody.
Yeah,
I have a question.
sure.
I'm using an iPad. I don't have a mouse, and I usually go into that gallery view, but I'm not seeing that option on my screen any longer. Does anybody with an iPad, can anybody help me out?
I can't help you with the iPad, but I'll mention that depending on which platform you're using, all of these things that we've been discussing are different.
Yeah.
For instance, when you want to change your name on my computer, I can't right click, I have to left click. So if you have your mouse set up backwards or opposite, I mean, you just have to kind of hunt around and find all the options.
Yeah,
And-
I've been doing that on this iPad and just not seeing it anywhere. Usually it was up in the upper left corner, but I'm
Yeah.
just not seeing it. And
Yeah,
then again, I
is-
don't have a
is-
mouse.
Is
Yeah.
there
I use
room
an
above the top picture?
I use an iPad and I don't think you can do that. In fact, I'm on the computer because on the computer you can do things like that. I don't
Yeah.
think you can on the iPad.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've been doing it on the iPad many, many times with all sorts of Zoom calls. I've just not seen it this morning.
well, the other thing
Yeah.
that'll change is whether or not you're using full screen or not full screen. And things will change with that,
Okay.
with that option.
Okay, I'll keep looking while you're talking. Go ahead and talk. Resume the meeting. I don't want to take up any more time on this.
Sure,
Hey, Greg, if I may, one more
Yeah.
little thing,
sure.
a little plug, and I'm only saying it now because it's coming up pretty quick. On March 18th, the Three Rivers Ops is having their Optia drop, and sign up is on operatingsessions.com, and it starts at noon. So it's maybe as soon as we're done with this, people might want to jump on that. I know I'm hosting a session.
What's
So,
the, what was that website again, Jeff? Yeah.
operating sessions.com.
And while you're wandering through these operating sessions over the weekend, you'll want to come to the train show on the 19th. We're going
Right.
to have it open from 10 to 3, and that's
right.
down in Napanee.
Absolutely.
In March.
Yes, March 19th.
March, yeah.
I think Gary Evans, who organized this, kind of messed up. I don't think he considered the Napanee show, but
No, that's okay. We might get some extra attendees because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
sure. Thank you.
Excellent. So going on then with a little on PowerPoint, learning to use PowerPoint is relatively simple in my view. That may be a bit of a biased view, but there are a couple of links here, and Microsoft provides excellent training, as well as there's Microsoft PowerPoint is used extensively for business presentations and all sorts of things. So there are a multitude of companies that offer training on this. And a lot of it is free. If you Google Microsoft PowerPoint, you'll get more information than you probably want. These two links here are pretty good. One is for basic tasks, and the other is the official Microsoft site that goes through. But just as we were discussing with Zoom and the differences between platforms, there are significant differences between platforms, and with Microsoft PowerPoint, they're really between Windows and Macintosh, they're two different programs. I use the program on both, and I have both platforms. So, and if you do subscribe to Microsoft and have access to the programs, you have the ability to download the software to multiple machines. And so not everybody's going to want to buy two computers to do that, but if you do have access to it, it is convenient for some of the features that are only available, because Microsoft is obviously a Windows oriented company. That's their operating system. The program on Windows has a much more extensive feature set. Apple's version of it, or Microsoft's version of it for Apple, more correctly, is a great program. But there are a few things that don't work the same way. And so I'm going to explore a little bit of that, show you how to get around some of that. Yes.
Can I interrupt just a second?
Absolutely.
Since I do everything in Apple, if anybody needs anything in Apple, maybe I can help you on that. And I also found trying to do PowerPoints and so forth, that there are some really things that you really need to do. First of all, the size of your fonts and things like that are really important. And I'll be glad to give anybody tips if they want to get a hold of me.
Very good. And likewise, I'll do the same thing. I do use the program on both platforms. Lately, I've been using it more on Apple, but that just kind of depends on what I'm up to and who I'm working for at a given point. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate some of these things to you. I'm going to get out of the presentation and kind of use this as a checklist. I'll show you how to create a new presentation. That's real easy. We'll explore the menu a little bit. One of the things that I find really helpful is the design ideas. So I'll show you that. And then there's a couple of good ways to import photos in bulk into PowerPoint. I can show you how I've made Mac do that. It's a feature on the Windows version, but there's a way to do it on Mac that works. And then I'll speak a little bit about importing an outline into PowerPoint in outline view, using outline view. This is another feature that works very well on the Windows version and is kind of kludgy on the Mac version. Then we'll talk a little bit about transitions, especially using transitions in an online presentation. If your bandwidth is not super, can be a little bit bandwidth intensive. And so what a lot of guys do who have, and for instance, Clark in Mason City has done a ton of presentations for RPM meets and different things like that. When he's presenting them online, he needs to remove the transitions. And so I'll show you how to do that quickly and easily. Also, if you're sending presentations around over the internet, it's really helpful to know how to compress pictures. That's a very easy thing now. That's a feature that has improved over the last few years. Adding page numbers, if you're interacting with somebody on a presentation and doing editing, it's really nice to have page numbers on there so you know which slide you're talking about. And then a little bit on working with video, and then of course presentation mode and how that works. So let me get out of here. I'm going to move this to the side. Well, actually, I'll leave it here for a minute. So creating a new presentation. The one thing I will say, I'm not sure how much of my screen you can actually see, but on the Mac version, there are menu commands up here. And especially on the PowerPoint menu, there are things that are not available on the ribbon down here. So that's often a good place to look for things. Also on the Mac version, left clicking things brings up this menu, which a lot of this stuff is not available on the ribbon or anywhere else, especially like this paragraph, which is a great way to adjust your spacing between lines, and you can't find it anywhere where up here. The only way to get to it is right clicking. Design ideas is a button over here. I'm not sure anymore, but a year ago I was using a couple of different versions of PowerPoint. These versions are based on your subscription. So if you have a business subscription, you get one version. If you have an O365 subscription, you get another. And then I was working for a school, and so they had a different one. And so I was going crazy because design ideas is one of the things that isn't in every version. And I'm hopelessly addicted to design ideas, and I'll show you why. If you click this button and you've done a slide here, this will show you a lot of different ways to organize that information, and you don't have to necessarily do a ton of work. You just click on the screen and now it reformatted. Now this isn't something I would choose, but I can just go right back, hit undo, which on the Mac is Apple Z, and it goes away. So maybe I want to see, well, what if that was smaller? Well, that's not very good. Okay, we'll go back to what we had. But anyway, this thing, especially when you're using pictures. So let's say I want to put a picture in here. I don't know if I've got a picture. Let's get rid of this. So here's our screenshot from the beginning. So I just dump that into this thing, and now it comes up with a bunch of ways to integrate that photo. And a lot of times it's much nicer. Now, this is kind of a busy slide, so it doesn't come up with a lot of real good ideas. But I'll show you in a minute when we import some photos into a new presentation. It can be really helpful. Importing photos on the Windows version, you'll see up here there's a when you go to insert, there is a photo album feature up here in the ribbon, and so that's an excellent time saver. If you have a folder full of photos and you've got them in the order you want, you can just create a new presentation and have it import all those photos into a bunch of slides, and you're halfway there. I'll show you on the Mac. It's a little tricky, and if anybody's interested in doing this, I can show you the details. You do have to write an automator script, so it's not for everybody, but it's not that challenging. If you Google it, there's step-by-step instructions. What you do is you write this little automator script, and then it'll show up here in services under PowerPoint. I've named it Create PP Photo Album. So if I click on that, it's gonna ask me, where are the photos that you want to use? And so I'm going to navigate. It's already navigated there, but let's say that I'm looking for it. Well, here's my folder. It says ORDoc. So these are a bunch of pictures of the ORDoc I'm working on, and I've got them in order. So when I save those photos, I just gave them numbers. And so now when I click choose, it's going to open a new presentation, and it's going to populate all the slides for me with these photos. On the Windows version, I think they do a little better job of actually centering the photos and putting them where they belong. Here on the Mac with the script I wrote, it just puts them up left center, and it actually looks like with this one, it actually skewed it by scaling it. But this is where, if you go to design ideas, now this is going to take and fix a lot of that. So I just go through each one of these slides. I don't like that one. Let's try that again. Yeah, well, I found that when I was testing this, if you actually move the photo a little bit, then you go to design ideas, it'll actually, I thought it would use it. Well, that's not working too well. So you can experiment with this. Yeah, I'm getting nowhere with that. But anyway,
Hey, Greg,
yeah.
I think you have to click on that photo to actually land the photo and get rid of the little white boxes around it, and then use design ideas.
Let's see if that works. Yeah.
I guess not. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. That's strange. And I don't know why it skewed that first photo. It didn't do that when I was testing it the other day, but let's see. Yeah, it's not, I don't know why it's not doing that, but anyway, a lot of these features require a little bit of experimentation. And like I say, this works a lot better on the Windows version for some reason. But anyway, I'm a lot farther along here than I would have been without importing all these photos. So this will hopefully be a presentation I give someday when I actually finish this ORDoc, but that's a presentation for another day. I'm not going to save that. Let's see what else. There is an outline mode, and the best way to get there is to hit view here and go to outline view. This allows you to see all of your slides and the bullet points. And so if you're going from an outline, this is a great way to organize things. If I create a new presentation and put that in outline view, then I can come over here. Let's see, where am I? So here's my outline. It's actually been edited a bit now, and actually I have a little more than the outline. So let's just get the outline. This is a program called OneNote from Microsoft. I highly recommend that as well. I can paste this in here, and now I can take and say, well, do I want this to be a slide? Just hit return. And now you can see it requires a lot of formatting yet, but if I come in here and hit tab, well, let's see what. Okay, now I've got this and I've got these bullets. And so you can go through this thing and reformat. If you have the Windows version, if you're working in Windows, you have the ability over here on the home menu, and it's listed here on the Mac version, but it doesn't work. At least I haven't been able to get it to work. You can actually format a Word document using the text format menu, so that when you hit outline, you can actually open an outline in, from your file menu, and it'll import the whole thing and have the, I think it's the heading 1 is all the slide, is a new slide, and anything underneath that is bullets. And it's very, very useful. On the Mac, it doesn't work so well. So what I did for this presentation is I actually imported my outline on the Windows version, and then opened it on the Mac and did the rest of the work on the Mac.
Can I interrupt one more time then?
Absolutely.
If you have a Mac, you build it in Keynote. When you build it in Keynote, you can do anything you want to do with it. And then you just simply move it into PowerPoint.
Very good.
So yeah, along those lines, as Ron mentioned, if you do not have Microsoft products, but you have a Mac, for instance, you can use Keynote and create your presentation, and we can still use it on these events like this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We don't have to have a PowerPoint
No.
product.
That's
And the
right.
other thing is, if you're on a Windows machine or Mac for that, if you want to use a product that is similar to Office, you can download OpenOffice.
Yeah.
And on OpenOffice, their application that's similar to PowerPoint is called Presentation. And so you can create a presentation that looks just like PowerPoint in OpenOffice, and it's free, and it's good for Mac or Windows products.
Absolutely.
So, so you don't have to spend money and buy Microsoft, but that's just some different options. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Keynote and OpenOffice.
In fact, you can give one of these presentations just scrolling through pictures on your phone, for that matter. So yeah,
Yes.
whatever works for you is absolutely perfect. Let's see. The other thing I want to show is this ability. So in the same view menu over here, you can go to slide sorter view. This gives you a view where you can see all of your slides. And in this view, if you have transitions, you can select everything here and go to transitions and add a white transition. So now they're all gonna make that transition when I go from slide to slide. For some people, that creates a big problem depending on the bandwidth they have. And so you can remove those just as quickly by hitting the none button. So now all the transitions are gone. All right. I'll go back to my slide here. Go. All right, what else? Compressing pictures. If you go to the file menu, you can compress pictures. Okay, so a lot of the pictures we take, if you're using a phone to take pictures, it's probably saving these gigantic files with very high resolution that look wonderful and also are capable of being printed in photographic quality. So we live in a wonderful time for that sort of thing, and we're able to take very high quality photos with a device that we typically have in our pocket at all times. So that's great. When you get ready to send that, when you put all those into a PowerPoint, it doesn't change the resolution or any of that. So these PowerPoint presentations, if they're full of pictures like that, can get huge. So you've got a 300 megabyte PowerPoint or something like that. You try to email it to somebody, and your email provider says, no, we don't allow anything over 10 megabytes or something like that. So compressed pictures is what you want. If you're using this online, if you're not planning to print it out, you're just using it on the computer, maybe you're projecting it on a screen, you are going to want to set this for email at 96 ppi. That's pixels per inch, very similar to dots per inch on a printer. When you do that, you apply this to all the pictures, and it will also delete the areas of photos that you've cropped, and that will reduce the size of your file significantly, and it takes very little time. I'm not going to do it now because I don't need to, but that's a very important feature. Adding page numbers is very easy. If you go to the home menu on the Mac version at least, and you go to the insert menu, there is a slide number selection right there. That is basically going to open the header and footer menu. You can choose what number you want to start at, apply to all, and depending on what design you're using, it'll insert page numbers on all your slides for you. Sometimes, depending on how you formatted pages, they might present as white numbers on a white background, so that gets a little bit more tricky. To fix that, the easiest thing to do is to go over here and select a design that you like, and then it'll reformat that appropriately. If you've messed around with the slides a lot, you may have to go over here and reset the slide. That reset button will set all the formats back. You don't want to do that if you don't want to change the appearance of your slide, but that's a good technique to experiment with if you're having problems like that. Working with video, you can insert video into these. Using video on a Zoom call can be a little tricky, so I recommend that you experiment with that ahead of time. I've also noticed on the Mac version of PowerPoint, sometimes it adds 2 slides when you try to drop a video into a slide. So that can be a little tricky, but we have had some fun working with security, the small cop cams placed on a flat car ahead of the engine, and getting video of people's layouts. That's a lot of fun. And finally, presentation mode. A lot of guys will do their presentation just in this mode I'm in here, which is kind of the edit mode. That at the other end, it makes it easy to navigate between slides, but it creates all this other information on the viewer screen that's really irrelevant, and minimizes the content area. So this little icon down here gets you into the slideshow mode, or you can come up here to the slideshow menu, and you have some options to play from the start, play from where you are, what have you. When you do that, I'm going to go into presentation mode now. So that improves the appearance. If you're using 2 monitors, which I'm using a laptop with a connected monitor, then on your other monitor, you're going to get this display, which kind of shows you what your next slide is. It gives you the ability to navigate all the slides in your presentation across the bottom, across that ribbon. And so it kind of gives you the advantages of navigation of being in edit mode without causing the viewers to see all of that. It also lets you know what time it is, how long you've been presenting, and things like that. Has a notes area here, which you can populate ahead of your presentation or during the presentation. If somebody says something important, you can type something important in there. And then if you have the discipline to go back and look at it later, you'll know it. Otherwise you have a sheet of paper in front of you like I always do. All right. So we'll swap those views back. This is another problem. If somebody is not used to connecting to an external monitor, the first time this program comes up, they will show this view, the presenter view, to their audience. And then everybody will get excited and try to solve that problem. It's real easy. There's a button right up here that says swap displays. And so we're back. That problem is extremely common, so easy to solve. So I think that's about all that I've got on PowerPoint. I appreciate everybody chiming in with other ideas and suggestions. That's extremely helpful in what this is all about. I do not come to this meeting to dictate any of this. I hope everybody knows that. I didn't even bother to say it at the beginning. I'm just trying to be helpful and share the information I have. So anything else on PowerPoint? The next slide is just about kind of the sequence of events. What do you need to do to prepare if you're going to give one of these presentations? And the idea here is to show that it is relatively simple. Once you've gotten a good idea and you've developed the slides, and nobody's looking for you to be the master of PowerPoint. And in fact, what I did there to import all those photos and have them all left justified, and even though some of them were skewed or whatever, that'd be perfectly acceptable. If I was going to give a zoom on how I built or how I rebuilt that ORDoc, I could use that presentation and just go through those photos and talk about what I did, and that would be perfectly fine. That would be a topic that people would probably enjoy viewing. And I mean, obviously for me, that I already know all that, so it wouldn't be that interesting. But if somebody on this call decided, hey, you know, I've built a town on my layout, or whatever your current major project is, you take pictures while you're doing it, you import those into PowerPoint. You don't have to mess with it at all if you don't want to. Just go through and talk over those slides. And I guarantee you, a lot of people find that very interesting, and we'd appreciate you doing that. But here's the process. You develop that presentation, and I've noted on here most of these steps. If you want help from me or other people in our group, we're more than happy to do that. So you develop a presentation. We can help you with that. Sign up for a Thursday or a Saturday, and we'll get you on the schedule. A lot of people, excuse me. Some people prefer to have everything ready and developed, and they say, okay, I've got a presentation ready, now I can sign up. And other people work well under a deadline. So sign up for a Thursday in March or something like that, and figure you got a month to create your presentation and get ready. That's what I do. and so, you know, that's depending on how confident you are with the tools. You may want to just sign up once you have everything ready, or by all means, we are open to having you sign up and then having you develop it. And especially for the Thursdays. The Saturdays are a little more formal than the Thursday evenings. But if it's Wednesday and your presentation's not ready, and you told me you were going to present tomorrow, and you call me up or you send me an email and say, I'm really not ready, then we'll do it the following Thursday. And we have other people who will step up and take your place for the Thursday that you were scheduled, and it's no problem at all. So feel free to be aggressive with your commitments there. Anyway, once you're signed up, then the night or the day of the clinic, you join the Zoom meeting. I'm probably the host, so I'll likely be on there about 10 minutes ahead of time or so. You open your presentation, put it in presentation mode, and share your screen, and we're off and running. Now, if that's something you're insecure about, or you're just not sure you can do it right, then you can also email me, or I've had people send me a thumb drive because their file was too large to email, and the compressed photos option wasn't working for them. That's perfectly fine. And if I've got your presentation, I will share my screen and just have you narrate over those slides that you sent me. Or I've had people send me a directory full of photos. I've created a PowerPoint for them, shared it, and then they speak over it. And that works great too. We're not necessarily, our club, the NMRA is promoting model railroading, not Microsoft, not Zoom, not doing this stuff necessarily. So I'm more than happy to to have you bypass that learning curve and just share your knowledge of railroading or the modeling that you're doing and things like that. That is really the goal. So anyway, once you're done with that, you can pretty much just quit the meeting, or you can stop sharing. Usually, as Neil mentioned, your view may change into the gallery view so you can see all the people who are on. And that's a lot of fun to have some fellowship afterward and talk about what you're doing and that sort of thing. And you're pretty much done. So it doesn't need to be a high stress or high commitment type of activity. It's meant to be fun for you to be able to share what you're doing and the knowledge that you've gained and the skills that you've developed, and fun for us who are watching and listening to be able to be motivated by what you've accomplished and be inspired by what you're doing on your layout, and then go down to our basement or wherever it is we do our modeling and do our thing. So that's how that works. So you do need to have moderate skills to present and develop one of these presentations. As you can see, there are some steps that get a little bit involved. We have help to make that easier for you, and by all means take advantage of that. The NMRA Achievement Program is important to a lot of us who are looking forward to getting certificates. And so these presentations that you do also allow you 2 points toward the Model Railroad Author certificate. And so this is considered a regional live clinic. And so those points will be awarded if you want to take advantage of that. As I mentioned, we've got people that will help coach you and let you practice your skills online. So join us on Thursdays, and thanks for being here for this Saturday clinic. We do this. We have been doing virtual clinics pretty much since April of 2020 on the third Saturday of the month. We've in the summers, we've done some outings as we were able to, and but the virtual stuff works in the winter. And so for the time being, we'll continue to do that with the Delta variant causing trouble out there and making it a little bit risky for us to all get together in person. So if as you get a little more experienced, I know many of the people on here have attended many of these virtual clinics. So once you've watched a few of these, if you feel like trying your hand, absolutely feel free to sign up, or even just contact me and we'll do a practice session and let you try it out and see how you feel. But because this is kind of the way we're doing things, and I don't really think it's going anywhere. I'm hopeful that in the future we will have the ability to meet in person and do these clinics in person. There's nothing better than getting together and being able to see these models and hold them in your hand and see the craftsmanship that people have used to make a beautiful model. But during bad weather and just because of the frequency with which we're able to get together using these types of tools, I believe we'll be using these for the foreseeable future. So there'll be plenty of opportunity, and we need people to get online and present and add some variety. On the Thursdays, there are 4 or 5 guys who will always step up and do a presentation. They're glad to do it and they enjoy it, but we don't want to saddle them with the burden of doing all these presentations, and we want to have some diversity and some variety to see. There's a lot of people doing a lot of really great stuff on their layouts in this region and across the country, and it's fun to be able to share that and see it. So that's what we're hoping to do. So any questions before we move on to the schedule?
Greg, I do have a question.
Sure.
The beginning of your clinic today, you had a thing that said in April of 2020, you were going to be doing a clinic in Valparaiso.
Yes.
And where was that, and who was that with?
That was going to be, I was going to present, and I think we were going to do it at the Valparaiso Library.
Okay. Okay, you didn't contact our club or anything?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know anything about that.
No, well, we punted because about a week after the March clinic, we realized that we weren't going to be able to do it because of COVID.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wondered, my wife works at the library and she never came home and said, oh, did you know there's going to be something?
Right, yeah.
Because she would know. She's been there longer than any other employee in the system.
Okay.
And she's got her ear to the rail, I guess you'd say.
Well, now we know who to talk to when we do want to use the Valparaiso Library for a presentation, hopefully sometime.
Oh, no, don't do that. Just call the library.
Okay.
No,
If
she
they give
doesn't
me
want
any
to be.
trouble, I'm calling you, Ken.
No. Okay, good enough.
All right. No, thanks for that. Yeah, that was the seminal moment here when we went to Zoom, because we realized that was going to be our only option. So,
Got it.
any other questions?
Okay. See you later.
See you, Ken. All right, here is the schedule. As we've been saying, we've got our meeting next in February. Sounds like Ken's going to present, which is great. That'll be February 19th, and that will be at the same time, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. In March, it's the Elkhart Train Show in Napanee. The Elkhart Model Railroad Club is sponsoring that, and it's a great event. I will be there. I'm looking forward to it. That is 10 to 3. Is that right, Chuck?
Yeah, public is 10 to 3.
Okay. And then April 16th will be our business meeting, where we will elect people to the board of directors. If you are interested in becoming more involved in the division, we have the need for people on committees. We're always looking for new board members, and so speak up and get involved. It's a lot of fun. It's a great bunch of guys. I've been doing it now for 4 or 5 years, and it's improved my modeling. It's put me in contact with people who really know what they're doing, which has inspired me and helped me develop my skills. So it's been a great experience. In May is the Tri-Region Convention, which will be in Indianapolis. That's going to be a huge event, and we're looking forward to that. And then in August, the Gateway 2022 is going to be in St. Louis. So I don't know if registration is open for that yet, but we're starting to see some publicity on that. So very exciting, and hoping that will be in person and can go on. I know we've had some things canceled, and just like everybody else in the world. And so looking forward to putting that all behind us. And that's all I've got. Are there any questions or any additional comments?
Yes, I have one.
Yes.
Who would be my best key contact with you to set up that club visit, or the group visit, I should say, out to the IGRS?
The IGRS.
That's our Ileana Garden Railway Society.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be great for an outing maybe in the spring, maybe May or June. Would that be appropriate?
June would probably be better than May, because we're usually getting things set up and running in May, and I can't guarantee that it'd be all together. The other thing that could be done, and I don't want to invite other people necessarily, but I do have a home layout if you wanted to make it into a round robin. Dave Besterman, I don't know about the Gabus Arboretum, and Ken Hogue, I think, am I pronouncing that right? There's the Porter County Model Railroad Club. You know, do you want to kind of make a tour?
Yeah, we
Anyway,
did that in
that's why
September.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, that sounds great. You can contact me or Ron. We'll help you plan that, or really anybody on the board.
Was that Greg?
Yeah, that's Greg.
Yeah, Greg or Ron. All right.
Mm-hmm. Or Ron Christensen, or anybody on the board. So the board of directors is John Benicki, Chuck Hart, Neil Thomas is on here, and who am I forgetting? Rich.
Phil,
Yes.
you get our newsletter. At the last page of the newsletter are the emails for all of the board members.
Okay. Thank you. I was going to ask for the newsletter. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So that's
I
perfect.
probably have seen it. I just don't always remember all the details.
It's the Form 19.
Yep.
All right. Well,
All right.
that's great. You know, well,
Yeah,
let
that's a
me
great suggestion.
bring in the Greg and the other board, and because our group, the IGRS, is interested in doing it. The only problem I have with dates at this point is IGRS is still putting together dates with the Porter County parks. And some Saturdays there are big events that may not be appropriate to, in other words, it gets crowded.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We'd rather, I mean, we do a lot of kids things, and that may or may not be appropriate. We'd rather spend time, you know, our time with, I'm sorry, there are two groups here. You get the idea.
Sure.
We'd
Yeah.
like to spend our time together.
Yeah, we'll figure out a date that's appropriate, and that sounds wonderful. And it sounds like there's enough going on there to where we could probably do that over a couple of different Saturdays. So,
And or a Sunday. Now,
right.
IGRS only operates on Saturday. I
Mhm.
mean, I can certainly do a Sunday at my house. I've got a nice garden railway out there. I'll let the other people contact me if they're interested. Dave or Ken want to
Sure.
jump into this, or if not, they can certainly contact me, and we'll work to put that program together for you.
Sounds perfect. All right, very good. Thank you, Phil. Anything else?
You're welcome. Not for me, thank you.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm looking for some help at this point in time. If anybody has some experience with Photoshop, I have some landscape pictures. I'm trying to build those into photo backdrops for some areas on my layout. I know there's a way to stitch pictures together if you take pictures of a landscape in the right order. But I've got some other photos that I'd like to see if I can blend together to create backdrops. If anybody has experience with Photoshop, they can contact me.
Very good.
Bob, do you still have contact with Jim Six?
I do. The problem is that Jim's version of Photoshop is pretty much outdated right now.
Oh, I see. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, Bob, I use Photoshop and I have the latest version, and I'd be happy to help you if you don't find anybody who's more of an expert. I'm not an expert by any means, but I do have experience.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks, Greg.
Sure. Thank you, Bob. Anything else from the group?
Well, I see that there is a note there from Dan Brewer that he's willing to help Bob.
Oh, good.
It's on the chat list there.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can say something, Robert, go out on YouTube and type that in, and there's a lot of great videos on Photoshop stuff as well.
I've looked. Yeah, I've gone that route. I've looked at a few of those, and I haven't always been able to make the connections to the right commands that.
Right, understand. Can be confusing sometimes. I think there is some programs out there that do stitch stuff together for you automatically too, if you research.
Photoshop will do that, and it looks in that current version as if that might almost be an automatic process. My problem is that when I start using that kind of approach to stitch photos together, I lose too much of it, and I've got some fairly long areas to cover, so I'd like to try to blend them together a little bit differently.
Right.
And Bob, if you do go to the videos and such, it's best to have, because I tried it, like what Paul was saying, it was best to have the photos on my computer and looking at the video on my iPhone. So you can do it all at once.
Yep. Thanks.
All right, I'm just looking at, I see I missed a bunch of chats because I was in presentation mode, but that's great. Thanks, guys, for the info. And if there's nothing else, then we'll adjourn for the day. I appreciate everybody showing up and participating. It was a great discussion and lots of fun.
Thank you, Greg.
See you then.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, thanks, everybody. Bye now.
Mhm.
Thanks,
Bye
everybody.
now.
Have a good day.